So everyone's watching China right now, right? Trade war headlines, tech war headlines, Taiwan, tariffs, tensions. But let me remind you of something obvious that almost everyone's forgetting. Canada still exists, and they're getting squeezed pretty hard in this whole thing. Not in the spotlight, not in the sound bites. They're feeling the pressure. And maybe even worse than some of America's biggest rivals. And the crazy part? Most folks have already quit talking about Canada. If you're done with the globalist nonsense and ready for straight talk, subscribe to America's Geopolitics. Now let's break it down. Let's be real. Canada's a nice place. They're friendly, stable, but economically, it was built on an assumption. The assumption that America would always want cheap resources. The assumption that global trade would always be safe and profitable. The assumption that being polite would be enough to keep their seat at the table. Canada's entire economy depends on exports. Over 80% of those exports, they go straight to the United States. That's not a diversified economy, that's a dependency. They sell us oil, aluminum, steel, softwood lumber, auto parts, and they figured if they just kept supplying, we'd always keep buying. Well, not anymore. Trump isn't just renegotiating deals, he's redesigning the system. You probably remember when Trump first slapped tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum back in 2018. Well, he's doing it again, and this time it's even worse. The U.S. just reimposed a 25% tariff on Canadian steel and a 10% tariff on energy products. It's a major punch to Canada's industrial heart. And their response? Well, they hit back with tariffs of their own, of course. They targeted U.S. vehicles, household goods, some agricultural. But let's be honest, retaliating from a weaker position isn't strategy, it's just really survival mode. Canada doesn't have many other options. They can't pivot to China, Europe's not buying, and the rest of the world, it's either too small, too far, or too broke. Now here's where it gets concerning. Canada's economy was already wobbly, but now it's starting to shake. According to a new Reuters poll, there's a real chance Canada enters a recession this year. The Bank of Canada is now expected to cut interest rates again just to keep the economy afloat. Meanwhile, the government is scrambling behind the scenes. You know what they're doing? They're trying to reduce interprovincial trade barriers. That's right, Canada is trying to patch its own internal economy so it can keep moving goods between provinces just in case the export engine stalls. And that can't be a plan, that's more of a panic. Here's the part Canada doesn't want to hear. Trump's new trade model, it's not US, Canada, Mexico. It's US, Mexico. Mexico has labor, Mexico has manufacturing, Mexico is adapting. Canada, they're still relying on resource exports and 1990s trade logic. Under the USMCA, Trump already squeezed Canada. Tighter auto rules, fewer dairy protections, no free ride. And now, they're not even in the conversation. There's no new Trump, there's no new meeting on the books, no new side deals, no fresh framework being negotiated. That silence, that's really the warning. China's loud, Mexico's useful, but Canada has become invisible. And in geopolitics, invisible gets you ignored. Canada isn't presenting a clear strategy, they're not leading in reshoring, not pivoting their supply chains, not making the case for their role in the future. They're just hoping things don't change too fast. But Trump isn't slowing down, he's trying to rebuild this system whether they like it or not. And if you don't have a role in it, you're just outside the wall. So yeah, everyone's watching China, but while the world obsesses over Beijing, Canada's quietly being left behind. Trump's trade war isn't just a fight, it's a reset. And in that reset, every country has a choice. Adapt, compete, contribute, or get replaced. Because this isn't about old alliances anymore. It's about performance, it's about leverage, and it's about control. And if Canada doesn't figure that out soon, they're not just going to be quiet, they're going to be irrelevant. If you want to support the channel, check out the links in the description below. This is Frank with America's Geopolitics. See you next time.